welcome back to Breaking Barriers with Bria. We are super excited today. The first thing I want to say is Happy Women's History Month, okay?
Yes.
Yay! One of my favorite months ever. I'm super excited for today's episode because I have a couple of phenomenal women here on the Breaking Barriers couch, okay? I'm going to introduce them, but I'll let them tell you a little bit about themselves. Today we have the Dr. Shavonne Orr, okay? And we also have the Dr. Sharisse Victor, okay? Let's give it up for them.
Yay! So happy to be here.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for traveling to be here today.
Absolutely.
I also want to say, I totally didn't say, this couch today is filled with Scotties, okay?
Woo!
That attended the one and the only Agnes Scott College.
Come on.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Listen, they produce phenomenal women.
Yes.
Okay?
Greatness.
Yes.
Greatness. That's it for
Yes.
greatness. Okay, so we're
Yes.
finna do this today. All right?
Come on.
Okay, so Dr. Orr,
Yes,
could you
yes,
please let me let us know what you do, introduce yourself, and yeah, let's get started.
Okay, sure. So my name is Shavonne Orr. I am a native of here in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm from on the east side of Atlanta, so the Decatur Stone Mountain area. And I am an occupational therapist.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Occupational therapist.
Yes.
Okay.
My name is Sharisse Victor. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I am a podiatrist.
Yes. Period. Yes. Brooklyn in the building.
Per.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna get into a few questions. Is that all right with y'all?
Sure. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So first, what's your current occupation, and can you tell me what exactly is an occupational therapist and a podiatrist?
Absolutely.
Okay, you can go first, Dr. Orr.
Okay. So occupational therapy is a field within the medical field where we help people either learn or relearn how to do everyday activities. So when you look at everyday activities, we call those things ADLs or activities of daily living.
Okay.
And so your ADLs, yes, lay it right
Activities
here.
of daily living.
So your ADLs or activities of daily living are the things
Yes.
that you do every single day. So things like brushing your teeth, washing your face, combing your hair, getting in and out of bed, taking a shower, those things that you do every single day, we help people either learn or relearn how to get back to doing those things.
Wow. Okay. Okay. And so, what would happen for someone if they needed to relearn it?
Yeah. So it depends. Every client is different, right? You never know exactly, the condition or diagnosis that a client will have. But it depends on if it's generally if it's an external or an internal injury, right? So your external injuries are things that happen to you from the outside. So things like, falling and breaking your leg, or maybe being in some type of accident, or, things can happen in this external world. And so that's one way that we can work with people. And then another way are internal injuries. So things that happen from the inside. So things like heart attacks and strokes and things like that. Things like that can leave people in a position where it's hard to get out of bed and to do those different things. So that's where occupational therapy steps in, and we help people learn the best ways to be able to complete those activities.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And I'm
Thank
so
you.
sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. As somebody who's had 2 ACL surgeries and had to learn how to walk twice, okay?
Yeah.
I definitely don't take everyday activities for granted. So
Yes.
For sure. Thank you for the work you
Two of
do.
them.
Actually, absolutely.
2 of them.
Yes. 2 ACLs.
I wouldn't
Put a
wish
prayer
it
on it.
anyone.
Put a prayer
No,
on it.
oh my gosh. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. I promise you. Okay? Not fun. Not fun at all. Okay, Dr. Victor.
That's me. So I am a podiatrist. Basically, I'm a part of a medical subspecialty that focuses on the feet and the ankles. And depending on what state you're in, could be the soft tissue of the thighs or some hands, depending on where we are. But in New York, because I am located in New York, I focus on the feet and the ankles. That can be anything from your bunion, your hammer toes. It could be fungal toenails. It could be calluses. It could be diabetic neuropathy, diabetic wounds. You broke an ankle, you broke a toe, you sprained something. I'm your surgeon. I'm your neurologist. I'm your rheumatologist. I'm your dermatologist. Once it's in the foot and the ankle, it's a little bit of everything.
Okay.
Bring it all together.
Yes. We love it.
Yes.
Okay. So speaking of, I was in the gym the other day.
And what happened?
I hurt my ankle. I was going pretty hard and I stepped wrong.
That'll do it.
I don't know what happened. So, you know, we might need to just wrap
little
after
1, 2, 1, 2.
this.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
afterwards. It still hurts a little bit.
It's going hard in the gym.
Too hard. Need to slow down. I'm no longer an athlete. Okay? If you saw the previous episode, you learned that I was also an athlete in college.
Yes.
Okay, yay, awesome. So we're gonna get some more, get into more questions about you all.
Okay.
So I want to know who were your inspirations, or what were your inspirations for specifically pursuing like this form of medicine? So Dr. Orr, you can talk about your inspirations for occupational therapy.
Yeah, sure. Right after graduating from Agnes Scott, I had an opportunity to be in a program called Teach for America.
Shout out to Teach for America.
And so through that opportunity, I was able to teach for 2 years. And while I was teaching...
Where did you teach? I'm curious.
I taught in Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
So I've been in a couple places in Florida now, but I taught in Orlando, Florida for 2 years. And during that time of being in the school system, I kind of noticed like, oh, there's these therapists that coming in and they're working on handwriting and all these different things. And I always thought it was cool and fascinating, but I didn't know too much about it. And then after my 2-year commitment was over, I moved back home here to Atlanta, and and I had an opportunity to shadow a pediatric occupational therapist.
Wow.
And from that experience, that's when I knew that occupational therapy was it for me. I love working with kids, and I love seeing, just them progress in themselves and being able to just be them best selves, their best selves. And that was my biggest inspiration, being able to see it in the school system and then see it in the private practice type of arena. So that was my biggest motivation, for sure.
So cool. I love it. So you
Thank
kind of
you.
like took like a different type of path. Yeah, okay, to get there.
Yeah, I did.
And I love that though.
Yeah.
So you were still working with students that something you really love to do, and then you kind of discovered, oh wow, this amazing field of medicine. You, from what I can recall, you already have a psych background.
I do, yes.
So
yes.
it was already kind of connected. That's
It was.
so cool.
It was. And in undergrad, I was one of those students where I love psychology, but I'm going to be completely honest, science was not my best subject. I'm just going to keep it 100. Like, science was just the biologies and the chemistries. I was like, woo! So, it was one of those things where I was like, I know I want to help people and be in the medical field, but I didn't know how I was going to get there.
Yeah.
And I got an opportunity to shadow some physical therapists and exercise physiologists, I believe they're called. And I tested out a few different things, and I was like, okay, this seems cool, but it's not quite it.
Yeah.
And then when I got a chance to shadow an OT, I was like, oh, this is it. So I would definitely say if you're interested in anything in medicine, you got to shop around. You got to look around and see what's for you, because you honestly never know.
Yeah. You hear that, y'all? Shop around, okay?
Yes.
You can say it to them. You
Shop around.
Yes. Okay. So Dr. Victor, what exactly inspired you or led you to your path of medicine?
So I didn't really know that this was what I wanted to do, but I guess through like personal experience, I knew where I wanted to be. So personal experience wise, my grandfather, as it's very common in our communities, was a diabetic patient, had lots of foot wounds and like things of that sort that need to be cared for very closely. And I felt like just through like observing, of course, I was a young child. I don't got no business in grown people business. Like, this has nothing to do with me. But just observing, I'm like, something doesn't seem too right. I feel like some things could have been handled better looking back at it. So I've always had that in the back of my head, like going into like the medical field, like, I don't know. Like, do people specifically like take care of this? Like, who do I go to? Is this like I don't know how to figure this out.
Right.
So again, like Shavonne said, shopping around post grad. Like, I didn't really know where I wanted to go. Did I want to do sports med? Did I want to do? Who knew what I wanted to do? Yeah. So I kept that in my mind and just looked up like, like diabetic like wound specialist, and I'm like, like they have people that do this already. It's not like I have to like generalize and like
recreate
a really huge field and then like specialize in this. Like, nah, the field is already there.
Yeah.
So keeping that in mind and like the care that I wanted to like provide for patients, especially in like the areas that like I grew up in and like underserved areas, I'm like, you know what? This is kind of making sense now. I kind of put 2 and 2 together for myself. I'm like, okay, podiatry might be it for me. So yeah, that's how I got around to that.
That's awesome.
I want to talk about real quick just personal experiences. So on my mom's side of the family, I have an aunt, or I had an aunt, but I never met her. She ended up passing, I think, when she was 23. And I remember my mom telling me the story that she stepped on something, or stepped on a nail, I think, when she was in a barn. You know, back then, I don't know what year this was. I don't know. But I know she was born in the 50s. I know my mom was born in the 50s. And so she stepped on a nail in the barn. And then I remember my mom saying that my grandfather, took her to the doctor, and the doctor was like, well, you're either going to have to amputate her leg, or she's going to have to walk with a limp for the rest of her life. And so my Black granddad was like, she ain't finna walk around with only one leg, and we ain't finna amputate. So she's going to walk with a limp. And so sure enough, that's what she did, right? But I guess eventually as she got older, it got infected. And so I'm not even sure who's that. I don't really know all the medical terminology and stuff like that, y'all. So I don't know if this was tetanus or whatever.
I was gonna say,
yeah, like
that sounds like a board question right there. They give you nail, barn, swarm, bacteria, tetanus. It's like you really just gave me like a question on my exam like 2 weeks ago.
See, look,
sounds like tetanus.
Lord, look
That'll
at that. I just
do
gave
it.
it to you. Didn't even know you.
Right.
Period. It's real life.
But that literally happened to her, and so sure enough, my mom told me that it got infected. And so she ended up passing eventually. And like I said, she passed at 23. And so that's just a story that I've always had in the back of my mind. Like, oh my gosh, like what happened? And I would think like, Granddad, why didn't they just like, oh my gosh, like why, I wanted to amputate her, her foot, her ankle. But then at the same time, I'm like, she could have lived though, so, but again, then I think about like the knowledge that my family didn't have, and them thinking like many of our families did when back in the day, right? They did the best that they had with what they knew,
Absolutely.
Did the best that they could with what they knew, and what they had. So
Even medical professionals back then, technically, I mean, I don't know how far along it was, but that's not necessarily the first option. Like, you're not just going to step on a nail, I'm going to cut your foot off,
Right.
So we even have new options now, so it's doing the
that's
best
true.
you can with what you have at that point. But,
Yes. I like that. I really like that perspective. Yes, innovation.
Yes.
Hey, perfect.
Big per.
Okay, next question. Okay, so for the amazing and aspiring occupational therapists and podiatrists and just students that might want to go into your field, can you tell me how many years it took to get to where you are today? So how many years you have to go to school, and then what degrees do you need to do that? And then the last question is, what degrees or certifications do you all have now?
Okay.
So yeah.
You want to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So I did my 3.5 years at Agnes. Left a little semester early or whatever.
Yes. She's trying to whisper that, but she graduated early.
Woot woot.
Whatever.
Okay, girl. Yeah. But in general, you need a bachelor's. However long that takes you to obtain, you need a bachelor's degree. And then I went to specifically podiatric medical school. So it's separate from like your MD or like your DO or like any of your other subspecialty schools. I went to a school specifically for podiatry, and that also took 4 years. So
Nice.
4 and 4 or 3.5 and 4, whatever. Round up 8.
Yeah.
Something like that's a gap year. We had a journey.
We had a journey. Okay.
But it took about 8 years total.
Nice.
Okay, awesome. Cool beans. Okay.
So for occupational therapy, it's, the same. You have to start off with a bachelor's. For me, it took 4. And let's see, after that, to get into occupational therapy right now, there's 2 different ways you can go. You can go the master's route, which takes 2 additional years after your bachelor, so 6 years total. Or you can go the clinical doctorate route, which is the route that I went. And so
You can go to clinical doctorate route. Which is the route that she went.
Yes.
It's like you bragging on my friend. Okay.
Thank you, girl.
So the clinical doctorate route takes 3 years. So
Okay.
that was 7 years total. And so, that's it. But I will throw out there that there are some programs where you can combine your undergrad and your master's together. And so you can receive both within 5 years.
Oh, wow.
So if you starting off in high school and you kind of already know, okay, I want to go to to be an occupational therapist, you can start off and get your undergrad and your master's at the same time. So only place that I know of off the top of my head is Tuskegee that has that type of program.
Tuskegee is great.
Yes, absolutely.
They're like fire.
Yes.
Shout out to Tuskegee.
I met a lot of great OTs from there. And so, yeah, that's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. But, yeah, they exist. They're out there. So, yeah.
Cool. Yay. Okay. So y'all know how many years and stuff, you know,
Yes.
the work you got to put in. Okay.
Yes.
Don't be trying to be scared or whatever and take the shortcut route. If you really want to do it, just go ahead and do it. It's going to be over real fast. I'm telling you.
Yes.
We was just like 20 years old. Okay. And now.
Right.
I ain't gonna tell you how we are. We not 20
Don't
years
worry
old.
about
no more,
that.
okay?
Yeah, right business.
Don't worry about that. That's not
You
business.
right there. I'm talking to you.
Okay. Don't worry about that. Okay, awesome. So you kind of already talked about your background and the background of your occupation and its definition. Do you know if any like historical like medical breakthroughs in occupational therapy or podiatry or even maybe people you've read about as you were studying or anything? People or just inventions or innovations or whatever, you know, anything like that.
I can.
Because I know they threw a lot of knowledge at y'all. Let me say that.
They did.
You have to,
Yeah.
being a doctor is not.
For the faint of heart.
It's really not. You know,
Yeah.
it's a lot of knowledge.
It is.
I'm not a doctor, so I can't say whether or not you use all of that material and stuff. I just know all the material that they try to give you to use.
Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
So yeah, anything that you all specifically remember, like any people that made medical breakthroughs or anything that was really cool or whatever that you learned that was like, oh my God, we created this.
Let's see. I think I don't have any like specific medical breakthroughs, but I think that it's kind of interesting the way that the field came about. So I'm just dropping this in there a little bit. So OT kind of came about after World War I. And so there were a lot of soldiers who needed help, being in war and all that good stuff. And so the nurses were noticing that they were kind of unmotivated to participate in rehab when they were dealing with so many mental health things like PTSD and, anything that comes with war. And so I just thought it was kind of interesting how they were able to combine aspects of nursing, but also just being able to combine aspects of mental health and making sure that we see the patient or the client as a whole person, understanding that they're not just their injury, but they also have a life that is it influences the way that they think, the way that they act, the way that they feel,
If
right?
they're successful in life.
Exactly. Like there's so many things that surround like a human being. And so I think that was one of the cool things that occupational therapy brought to the medical field in general, was just that understanding of mental health is important. That's like, if you don't feel like getting out of bed, you're not gonna feel like doing these exercises. I'm not gonna, so I just think it was cool how they kind of merged the two to make that field. So yeah, that was kind of the biggest breakthrough I can think of.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like medical breakthrough wise, they throw so many things at you when you're in school. I could tell you 40 million different surgeries named after 40 million different doctors about who fixed what bunion and what way and why your flat foot won't be the same after this person's surgery. It's a lot of people, but what I feel like I have noticed the most, and this is me making another generalized statement, kind of like Shavonne did just now, is like how the field itself has transitioned from like routine care and nail trimming and all. These are just your glorified, nail folk to like, wow, we're real life surgeons. Like we're helping kids with congenital defects. We're helping people with like painful foot deformities. Where it's like, it's a totally different thing. A podiatrist being a surgeon was just not a thing at all 30, 40 years ago. And now it's a totally different field. So
That's amazing.
just look into it.
Breakthroughs.
Yes.
Breakthroughs. Okay. Speaking of breakthroughs, right? I want to know: is there any how much diversity is within your fields? Like, this Women's History Month, so women in your fields, or even women of color, or people of color.
So in occupational therapy, it's honestly dominated by women.
Love that.
I think it's like upwards of 80%.
Ooh.
Like it's dominated
like that.
by women. Yes, we do. And in terms of the diversity aspect of it, that is the one area where I think that it's coming around. I'll say that. I think right now it's only about 4 to 5% that identify as Black or African American. So it's a small percentage, but you know we're here, we're out there, and I think there was also I want to say about 14% that identified as LGBT. So I thought that was pretty cool too.
Yes.
So yeah, it's diverse, and I think that the field is definitely acknowledging that it's important to be diverse.
Oh, for sure.
And it's definitely one of the biggest topics of conversation for sure.
I can see that. Even in like the clients that you have, you know, you're gonna have clients with different identities.
Absolutely.
I tell people all the time in any of my trainings. Again, shout out to my DE&I consultants. I'm a consultant.
Nice.
And I in my trainings all the time, I'm like, you have to know that people are different, and you have to be able to work with people who are different.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
You know that, right? So
Yeah.
like your team needs to reflect the world, like
For sure. Yeah.
so.
One of the biggest things that came out when I was in school was actually understanding how to manage different cultures' hair. I think that because you know grooming is an ADL, you have to be able to take care of your hair, but not everyone's hair is coarse or thick or curly or straight or whatever. You know, everybody's hair is different. So I think that was one of the biggest things to be able to add to that space, and just to be able to say, you know, everyone's hair is different and we can take care of it in different ways. And so that was a cool thing to experience. That being a conversation that's just now coming about. So I thought that was cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yes, hair. Yes, 4C.
Yes, come on.
Sure.
Come
Get
on.
into it.
Come
Okay.
on.
It's slick back right now.
Yes,
But
yes,
just
it is.
know
Yeah.
it's 4C.
Come on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Zigzag. It do whatever it want to do. It has its own. It's its own
Person.
being. Okay.
Yes.
Its own person. Its own life. Its own spirit and soul.
Come on. Yes.
Okay. And we can
Yes.
learn how. We can learn how to do it.
Come
we can
on.
learn how to do it.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yes, diversity.
In regards to podiatry,
Yeah.
it is historically
Yeah.
a white male-dominated field.
You know, many
I
are.
can say it is diversifying.
Yeah.
However, I would not consider the field diverse. The percentages I looked up to, prepare for this today. Maybe because I went to school in New York. That's just a whole different ball game. In general,
Yeah.
I expected much different numbers.
Yeah.
But once I saw that 2.5% for Black people, I was like, oh, 2.5 is a little, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, 2.5% as of 2021. That was like 2 years ago.
Nice.
Right.
Was it? I mean, what's happening?
Or whatever.
Casually.
Something like that. But these newer matriculating classes now look much different than the classes that like I was in. I just graduated last year. Or the classes before me. Like I know one of the podiatry schools in Ohio, I believe, finally had their first class of like majority women. And that's like never happened like anywhere.
Yes, breaking
The
barriers.
percentages are slowly increasing, so we are diversifying for sure, but it's forever in medicine going to be a point of contention because they try to keep us out.
For sure, which is why it's so important to even just have this conversation. Like I'm super, again, I think our circle, right? And I'm talking about like the Scotty Agnes bubble, it's just so diverse. It's like normal for us, to see so many amazing people thriving and like breaking barriers, right? And beating the odds. But it is still not the world's normal.
Yeah.
It's not globally normal. And so one of the missions here on the show is to provide a safe space and a platform for people who face certain adversities and have certain identities, minority identities, and who are breaking barriers.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
you both are doing amazingly. So especially being in fields that are not known to be the most diverse, you know, within medicine. So great job, and I just want to clap, you know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Fran.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so we're gonna get into a couple realistic conversations or segments. So the first thing is, right, I want to know what's the best advice you can give to somebody who's interested in pursuing medicine, but specifically the path that you took. Like, what's the best advice you can give to them?
You go first. I feel like I'm always going first. Go for it.
No worries. And this is just me speaking from like personal experience.
Yeah.
Oop, I just touched my mic. Sorry. This is me speaking from personal experience.
Yes.
I know your advisors in college are there for you. To give you the best advice that they can. But at some point, you just have to Eurostep what they're saying. I feel like a lot of the people that are in advisor positions today are looking at medicine and medical careers from a standpoint that is no longer the same. The field in general is diversifying and changing in ways that it's making it more accessible to people that were not able to access these fields before. So we hear as soon as I want to be a doctor. Well, you have to have this GPA, you have to have this MCAT score, and you won't make it any other way.
Yeah.
And that's not the case.
Yes.
I took the MCAT twice. My GPA was aight. It was aight. It wasn't what they were looking for, but it was aight.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can definitely work your way around, you know, whether it's extracurricular activities or you're shadowing or you're whatever. It's not as cut and dry as your advisors would make you think it is. And then again, going back to what Shavonne said earlier, shop around.
Yeah.
There is not one option to enter the field. You do not have to be an MD. You do not have to be a DO. Do you want to be that? Cool. You can also do that. You don't have to go to a school in the US. You could go elsewhere. There's so many ways to go about this, and I feel like the field has been cluttered with lots of condescending opinions that are not necessarily true. So yeah, shop around, do your own research. Do not listen to the people that are quick to turn you away because you do not fit this cookie cutter mold of what a doctor should be or what you should look like, act like, what your grades should look like.
Come on.
In through one ear, out the other. You figure it out on your own.
Yes.
Or figure your opinion out with the help of someone that has not taken a traditional route.
Yes.
Because trying to fit into a specific mold, getting into the medical field will not help you in the long run.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, that's
That
good.
deserves a hand clap.
Yeah.
Hand clap.
Yes.
I agree.
Let's see. For me, I would say to follow your passions. I think that you know, you when you do something you're passionate about, you'll never really work a day in your life. And I think that's
Okay, wisdom or
super
whatever.
important because, you know, you don't want to be caught in this rat race of just going. You want to actually care about what you're doing. And so like she said, there's so many different fields that target so many different things, so many different areas of the body, from your brain to your feet. You know what I'm saying? Literally. And I would just say, follow your passion. Follow something that you either have history with or something you've seen before. For me, my passion was working with kids, and I just led with that. I knew I liked to be active. I was a basketball player in college. So I was like, I want to be active. I want to be able to work with kids, and, you know, eventually you'll just find your space and you'll find your lane. So just you know, keep moving forward. Keep your grades higher as best as you can. You know, as best as you can. You know, there's still certain standards.
Yeah,
there's a standard.
Right. There's still certain standards, but you know, if you do those things and stay on top of it, you'll get there for sure.
Great.
Stay organized. Keep an agenda.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Organization and agenda. Oh my
Come
gosh.
on. Yes.
Ooh. Okay. Awesome. So, I want to know, in wrapping some things up, have you all faced any adversities yourself? And if so, do you mind sharing a little bit about it in your journey, anywhere in your journey? Yeah. This can also have been at Agnes. Hopefully, it wasn't. But, you know. Hey.
So I think that my journey to being an OT just had so many different steps and But I think one of the biggest adversities I faced was first getting into an OT program. That in itself takes a lot of, it takes determination for sure, and organization. I applied to be in the program for 3 years, and it wasn't until that third year where I actually got some acceptances. So that was a big adversity that I faced, trying to get a decent score on the GRE. And it wasn't until most recently, this past year, where after I graduated, we have to take a national board exam. And so I didn't realize until I was studying for the board exam, like, wow, I'm really struggling right now. Like, trying to keep up with the pace and keeping up with processing information. And like, there were times where I was like, I'm really not going to finish in these 4 hours. And so, that was one of the biggest adversities I faced during that time, and that led me to get a complete evaluation done.
Yes.
And during that time, I found out that I have ADD, or formerly ADD. Now it's called ADHD, the inattentive type. And that diagnosis really helped me to be more kind to myself, I think.
Ooh,
I
yes.
think
Grace?
Come on, Grace. Like, I think that I've always just been, this strong Black woman, always got to do well, always got to go. And even though I realized in school that, it takes me long, I can get to the answer. It might take me longer to get there, but I'm gonna get to it. And so that process, it seemed like you resonated with me a little bit. You know that?
So hard.
That I think that was a big hurdle for me, to be able to realize that it's okay if you need extra time, or it's okay if you need to be testing in a different environment. I think that was huge for me in my personal walk, in my personal life. And it's just really allowed me, like I said, to be more kind to myself. And so if that's the situation that you're in, don't be afraid to seek those services. Like, they're there for you to use them. And so just not being afraid to utilize them will be my biggest advice for that. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Thank you.
I absolutely can agree. We have some mental health episodes coming up, and we definitely finna get into it. Okay.
Yes.
Oh my gosh! Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Orr.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Dr. Victor.
I feel like a lot of my adversity in this entire journey, whether it was from Agnes, applying to schools, getting through schools, now being in residency, is comes from a point of realizing that you can't possibly be good at everything. Like, this is hard. Like, this is not meant to be easy. And I feel like we come from, well, at least in my personal experience, I came from a situation in which, like, school came easily to me. I felt like this should just make sense.
Same.
Yeah.
And by the end of college, in them science classes that we were kikiing about earlier, through those science classes, and now having to do over half of those science classes and like med school again, I'm just like, this is hard.
Yeah, for sure.
Who made this curriculum and how am I supposed to get through this?
Who
This makes no
made it?
sense.
It's realistic.
But
Am
it's
I
not.
pushing myself
It's not.
to further limits that I didn't even know existed?
Hello?
Come
Hi.
on.
Hey, get into it. But I feel like it took a lot of therapy. I did have to hop into therapy at a certain point because I really did question my ability to complete this course. In general, I truly did not think I would make it, but with a solid foundation and reassurance and changing my study habits and realizing that, like, I'm just not going to be on go mode like everyone else. I'm going to have to take my own time with it. That you can make it through. There are going to be a lot of people that it just makes sense for them. And it's okay if you're not one of those people. It's all right. You'll figure it out at your own pace once you figure it out. That's really all that matters. Just get there. You don't have to get there right now.
Right.
You don't have to get there tomorrow. Just get there. So I think that's the journey that really threw me for a loop, because I was just so used to getting there. And I had to work for it. It was hard. But we made it through. Just get there the best you can. Because once you get there, listen, once you finish medical school, who is going to ask you about that GPA?
Come on. Who? Who's asking what
Are
you got
you
on
a
the
doctor or
test?
not?
Yes. Yes.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
This is very true.
Come on.
Thank you.
Come on.
That's that on that.
Give me my
and
DR.
that is that
Just
on
get there.
that.
How you gotta get there?
Period.
I love it.
Period.
Yes. What do you take a car, a train, a plane? Just get there.
Yes.
Amen.
Get there.
Come on.
Just get there.
That'll do it.
Yay. Okay. Well, that is all the questions I have for you on your personal journey. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
We like to end the show with a couple of trivia questions for you. Just to remind the folks at home, if they get it correctly, they're great. Kudos. Woohoo. They're BBB warriors. If they get it incorrectly, they will need to take a shot of libations.
Come on.
So let's get into it quickly as we close
I'm
out.
scared,
Right.
child.
I was like,
Secret cards in the back. Okay, so first question. This one is for
Oh no.
Shavonne Orr, Dr. Shavonne Orr.
Okay.
Who was the first female occupational therapist?
Oh gosh.
Not the first.
I'll give you 7 seconds.
Oh man. I'm just gonna say a prominent black OT. Her name is Layla Loren. She was not the first, but I'm gonna just throw that out there. It's wrong.
Shout out to Layla.
Come on. Come
Shout out to Layla.
on.
We don't know who the
Yes.
first is, but Layla,
Come
that
on.
girl. Period.
You know
We
what?
love to see it.
Shout out, Layla.
Who is it?
Did you know it wasn't juicy?
It wasn't. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I am sure you are amazing.
In my head, I'm also thinking Mary Allen, but that could be wrong as well.
That sounds real generic and that sounds right. But it's not.
Oh man.
Who is it?
It was Eleanor Clark
Oh,
Slagle.
Slagle. Yeah.
Okay, see, I ain't see. She
yeah.
knew that. Why you ain't say Slagle?
I don't. Okay, look. I was
She was
trying
in
to
there somewhere.
prepare.
She
It
was
was
in
in there. It was in there.
Right, all
In the
pieces.
recesses of the
Right.
That
mind.
was
It
like
was
first
in there.
semester OT school, so it's been
Right,
some
I'm like,
years.
hello?
Oh my
It's been
gosh.
some years.
All right, here we
I'm
go.
gonna tell you what I ate yesterday. You think I remember what I did at the beginning of
Come
school?
on. I'm like,
Dr. Victor, it's on to you. First question.
Oh.
Who was the
libations?
Oh, see,
we were alerted
to
the libations.
Oh man.
Yeah, I tried to skip that.
I tried to skirt past
You
it.
sure did.
Ooh, wow.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Don't everybody watch.
Okay, that's so funny. Great job. Bringing back college days.
Ooh, man.
All right. You know, it's different when you get older. That shot means something different,
Man,
okay?
what?
All right. All right. Now, Dr. Victor, who was the first black female podiatrist?
Like ever? Ever? See, I don't know if she was the first.
I'll give you a couple chances like I gave Dr. Orr.
See, I know my girl, Miss Mildred Dixon, but I don't know if she was the first, like in the country. I know she was the first in Alabama and the first one to make a residency program in Alabama.
Oh, see, that's good.
That's all I got.
She do got some knowledge on
Right.
I don't think she the
See,
first though because they have.
Dr. Orr should have went with Mildred.
I
She
should've.
should have went with that. That's correct. Good job, Dr. Victor.
Oh, go ahead. Yes.
We love Mildred, and she's also black. Let's get.
Come on. Get into it.
We love Miss Mildred.
Get into it.
A trailblazer, if I ever know one. She
Period.
passed away in 2018, 102 years old, but that's still that girl.
Oh,
Her.
R.I.P.
You can
Rest in
see it.
peace and power.
Yeah.
Mildred.
Her.
Yes.
Alrighty, here we go. Dr. Victor, you just got that one right. Let's do, how many black women podiatrists are there currently in America? You can give me a percentage.
Black women put. Okay, hear me out.
I mean, you just.
Hear me out. So I seen a little percentage earlier, right, of total podiatrists.
Okay.
It was somewhere around like 11,000, something like that, right?
Okay.
Now, if 2.5% of those people are black, come on, child, it's not that many. That's my
not.
answer. It's
You're
given.
right.
That don't sound like a percentage.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. I couldn't even tell you.
Right along, Dr. Victor, so you got about 2
Of total
seconds.
percentage of total podiatrists that are black women,
yep.
I'm gonna give it a smooth 1.5%.
Smooth.
It's given no.
That actually was very close.
Oh, damn.
So I will give it to you, 1.9%.
Damn.
Wow.
I'm like, it can't be two.
It's
You
the
2 for 2.
podiatrist for me. Okay.
Get
Right.
2. Dang, she said
I was trying to get her to catch up. I'm like,
Sorry, but we're back on you, Doctor.
Oh, right. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, you ready?
Love a challenge. Let's do it.
All right. I'm super excited for this question. So she's a podiatrist, right? Tell me, is that PED or is that POD?
I'm gonna go with O, P-O-D.
Good job!
Yeah, get into it.
You know, people think it's POD because like pedicure, PEDI, and I'm like, I don't really know the connections, but I just go on her like page and I just look and I be like, ooh,
Right.
I'm like,
it's POD.
Right.
The PED would give, I'm with kids. I could deal with kids. I could be a pediatric podiatrist. But I'm just a podiatrist. I don't know what I want to be at.
Look at that.
We got time.
Stay in school.
Sure.
Science.
Yeah, get into it.
Okay. Awesome. Yay. Okay. Back on you, Dr. Orr.
Come with it.
This is for Dr. Victor.
I'm scared. Go.
Does occupational therapy actually connect to someone's occupation? If so, how?
I mean, I guess it could. If you at work, you gotta pick up a pen and write.
Come on.
That's the activity of daily living. Go ahead and
It
learn
is.
how to write again. It
Come
should. I hope so.
This is the problem with Scotty's, right? They're not finna give you a direct answer. They don't give you an answer that get to it that's kind of round. You know? I'm gonna say that's correct. Originally, I had sis, because it's like not necessarily like
Your job, but
but things
technically.
everyday skills that you might need for your job. Absolutely.
Exactly.
So good job. Wow. I just want to say this is a record. Dr. Victor is the very first guest to never ever have to take
get into it.
any type of
That is awesome.
BBB shots.
Get into it.
Great
That is
job.
awesome.
I'm gonna still take the shot because we celebrate.
Period.
Right.
We breaking.
Yes,
We
we're
breaking
barriers.
barriers.
I'm
Barriers.
Break. It's breaking of the barriers for me. Let's get into
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Yes. Whew, I'm feeling mine. It's hot in here.
Lying. It's not that hot.
It's not. I just feel it.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Okay, well, thank you all so much for being here today. You dropped so many gems. You taught me something today, so I know for a fact you taught the people at home something today. Yes, just thank you so much for being a part of our our Women's History Month installment. You all are so phenomenal, like seriously. And you're breaking barriers every single day, and every time I scroll and I see y'all doing something great, or just being, it just brings tears to my eyes because it's just such a beautiful thing. And I know we get caught up in our everyday lives, but you're such an amazing example to so many people. And I'm not sure if you want to share your social media handles, but if so, we can put them here,
Yes.
They both have amazing business and professional handles. You can definitely learn about occupational therapy, definitely learn about podiatry, okay?
Yes.
Follow their journeys, Dr. Orr, Dr. Victor.
Yes.
And let them know that you see them because you do.
Yes.
Period.
Come on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Thank
Of
you. This is
course.
awesome. So proud of you as well,
Hello.
fellow Scotty. Like, this is amazing. And you're just setting the stage for so many other people to just share themselves. And we appreciate you in this space as well.
An amazing platform.
Yes.
We love to see it.
Love to.
Trying to make me cry. That's why the pictures.
Right.
Y'all, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Breaking Barriers with Bria for Women's History Month. Okay, there's more to come. Make sure you tune in. If you haven't already, check out the last episode where we did women in sports. All right, see you next time. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, real baddies break barriers.
That's right.
Purr.
Thank you so much for watching Breaking Barriers with Bria, episode 5, Women in Medicine. Make sure you continue to follow us, like, comment, and subscribe so that you can stay up to date with our content. Thank you, and remember, real baddies break barriers.